That is improbable. It takes about half an hour to piece one together, using the system you've devised. Where do you want to start? This one is relatively easy to reconstruct. Overnight on 1202, a graffito, nay, a mural, appears on an 8-story tenement overlooking central Jamrock. The building is a sparsely inhabited ghost tower, part of a failed real estate development called Grand Couronne. Cause of failure: rent too high. The mural is enormous. 2 silhouettes, a man and a woman, are kissing. The text cut into their form reads, "True love is possible only in the next world. For new people, it is too late for us. Wreak havoc on the middle class." People call it that thing and that fucking thing. It's visible for miles. In 2 days, the station's complaints desk gets clogged with requests to remove the bummer. You and the graffito crew is easy to track down. Only the bell lectures have the literage of industrial paint to cover the surface. One of the graffito artists is rumored to be rich. They take responsibility for the execution, but not the design. The ideologue of the Next World mural, as the crew calls it, remains an unknown. The case files do not show you finding the author of the design. The crew agrees to clean up after themselves. However, your partner, JV, is against the removal, citing public support for conservation. This leads to a debate in Precinct 41, which then spreads to the streets of Jamrock, ending in a rare plebiscite organized by you and the rest of Row 3. The 9,000 people subjected to the mural's message, all of Lakeside, Central Jamrock, and Villalobos, plus half of the eminent domain, participate in the vote. Although the case begins with what appears to be a lot of rambling on the streets as to how juvenile and stupid the mural is, given a choice between 2 options. A staggering 78% of voters choose to keep it. Turns out the opposition were a loud minority, and that love truly is possible in the next world for new people, and it is too late for us. Did anyone ask you what you believe in, man with the smelly toilet ledger? What do you want to tackle next? Or are we done? AKA Leslie and Burke, AKA the public indecency drunk and the property damage drunk, is a cursed case. It has been passed from unsuspecting officer to unsuspecting officer for 10 years. On January 29, the unsolvable case made its way to you. Why you accepted it, it is unclear. Every officer, and indeed most civilians in Jamrock, know it's unsolvable. You were so drunk you didn't remember what it was when you signed on. That, or you were high. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It is their nature. You cannot change the nature of a man. And you can't lock them away because public indecency and small-scale property damage are not punishable by incarceration. The only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals to bypassers and for Burke to stop dismantling signage and rear-view mirrors would be for them to stop drinking alcohol, which, in their 40s or 50s, it's hard to tell because of their distorted features, is a medical improbability on par with you ceasing to produce the expression. Threatening, fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in the hellholes they live in, locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy, even trying to get the local gang of Zemyaki to take them out. The Zemyaki gave them ethanol, so Burke and Leslie would expose and rampage even harder. You tried it all. and still the complaints wouldn't stop, as they hadn't stopped for 10 years. It's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-reference to several ongoing investigations, each brought to a standstill every time you drive down Main Street. Because there they are, on the corner of Perdition. And what is Leslie doing? No, that's Burke. Leslie's shtick is flashing his genitals, remember? How will you ever solve the unsolvable case if you can't even get that straight? Well, turns out it's pretty simple. The case becomes considerably less comic one day when Burke takes a swing at your ledger. He must have confused it with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. You're also drunk. Drunk out of your mind on potent Pilsner. You slam the hardened plastic board in his face, then proceed to beat him unconscious with it. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. You stop your assault on the now unconscious Burke to open it, but are unable to do so. The officer began to cry, reports Leslie, who, at this point, is tending to Burke. He came at us, and at us. I think he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill Burko, you slowly come around. The permeables compartment is open. You've smashed it open on poor Burko's kneecaps. The good news is, Burke can't walk anymore. Can't get out of his apartment, an invalid. With Burke to tend to, Leslie cuts back on the indecent exposure. Maybe he flashes his genitals to Burke, who knows, but both drunks are off the street. The complaints stop. The unsolvable case is solved. Which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. It would be very interesting to read about these, wouldn't it? I mean, there seems to be a square-shaped entry wound in the victim's forehead. She's been sitting there for weeks, on her rocking chair, with a square hole in her skull, staring at the wall, her mouth agape. That's all you got. From the half hour you spent piecing it together, all you know is the entry wound was square-shaped. You never found the bullet. And then another body showed up, also with a square hole in his forehead. Who knows? Those pages are missing. What next? One day you may still catch the man with the square. Some assholes brought their couch outside and hung out on it. In the middle of the street, on the roof, on the hillside by the motorway. You know, at an unexpected location. They were young, and they thought they looked cool on it. Insufferable dicks. Young people are the worst. So anyway, you got a complaint about the damn sofa, or couch, or whatever it is. They were leaving it out in all these unexpected and whimsical locations. They took it to where they also took photos of themselves on it, and smoked cigarettes, and drank coffee because they felt it's intellectual. Cigarette butts, coffee cups, stupid couch. You had to clean it all up, and you did. So congratulations to you. Case solved. No, you didn't have time for that. These notes show that you have what is called a real goddamn job. You don't have time to be chasing down the couch assholes. You have a real job to do. What next? Murder. Tum tum tum. At the hookah parlor was a case originally assigned to an officer called Joseph Mills, who is now dead, of circumstances completely unconnected to murder at the hookah parlor. Beaten to death by a throng of Villalobos gang members when him and his partner J.M., only initials mentioned, answered a call one night. It's a sad story, and it isn't really represented in your case files. Stop stalling and get to the murder at the hookah parlor. Joseph Mills was on this case that he just couldn't solve, was doing it solo, said it was a real nutcracker, a real brain twister, was on it for, like, a month. Mills didn't get off the pot. Not yet. He kept at it for a couple of weeks more, racking his brains, running with every theory, as outlandish as they seemed. Still couldn't solve the murder at the hookah parlor. Tough case, he said. Toughest he's ever had. No, he was awful. Awful sense of humor, too. The worst jokes you've ever heard. Really rapey. Still, he'd been on it for months now. Said it was the final case. Said it was uncrackable. That murderer vanished into thin air. That goddamn hookah parlor was all he talked about. Okay, so the case is handed to you because Mills isn't getting anywhere, and you look into it. Here's the setup. A young man is found dead in a hookah parlor. You know, those places where you go and smoke bubblegum-flavored vapor all day. Yeah, so anyway, young man in his 20s found with his skull busted open, right on the floor of the hookah parlor, in the middle of the day. No one else is in there, only client that day. In perfect health, too. Some kind of movie producer. No one enters, no one exits. He's just sucking on his watermelon hookah all morning, all noon, like he usually does. He's a regular. No calls, nothing. Just sucking on the hookah until 15:45. Then bam, he's dead on the floor with his skull busted open, blood everywhere. What happened? How can it be? Mills has no idea. Invisible assassin, movie deal gone sour. Girl at the counter did it. Nothing fits. Eerie. Man just dropped dead. So you go to the parlor. You see cushions around the table. Tables low, heavy, really sharp edge. See? You can't even read the thing without solving it. Yeah, it was that. Turns out hookah does do something. It turns off your brain's oxygen supply, and you don't notice it until you get up to go to the bathroom. Smoking hookah. Didn't you hear? I don't know. Trying to come up with a movie script, maybe. Anyway, that was Murder at the Hookah Parlor. Joseph Mills wasn't a good detective, and about 30 minutes has passed, piecing it together. Next. Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden papers still sags from the clipboard. The two sides of the board appear slightly misaligned, like a drawer that's come off its slides. If you bend the plastic on your knee slowly, the slides snap back into place. It should be possible to just, you know. Without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The compartment is now open. 2 ticket stubs and a handmade postcard. 2 octopuses are smiling, reaching their tentacles toward each other in the colored pencil drawings. The tickets permit access to the zoo in Revachol East. The aquarium costs extra. These let you go there, too. Thin wax paper has been glued to a piece of cardboard. Sounds like leaves rustling when you pick it up. You see violet flowers, floral patterns, patches of glue. Familiar handwriting lines the inside of the card. Looped, round letters in a woman's hand. A young woman in her 20s. There is care, effort, and a smile, you think. Although that is not something you can read from someone's handwriting. Harry, it begins. You're already reading. I wanted to write you a letter so you can read it when you wake up. Maybe it will make you happy. Your hand shakes, holding the card. Every morning when I step out and you're asleep behind me, it says, I find a little piece of sadness in me. I carry it in my chest, down Voyager Road. Every step I take, it grows. By the time I reach the fuel station, it has filled me entirely. I step onto the light rail and look back. Sparks fall from the bow collector. I know it will be like this until late afternoon, when I get off the 42 and walk back to you. You. Every step I take will get lighter. It almost makes me run. Sometimes I do. I can't believe I met you. I can't believe the happiness I feel with you. You have a vast, vast soul, and I will always, always, always come back to it. Kisses, kisses, kisses. You feel the air sucked out of your lungs and the blood sucked out of your head. Everything around you gets dark. Small white dots appear. Sparks fall like snow from the bow collector, a streetcar distancing. You feel the ledger slip from your hand. No, hold on. To what? There's nothing.
Detective, is everything all right?
There is nothing. Again. Well, almost nothing. There is the ground below you, that's still there. And the small light that's on, fluttering, somewhere in the basal ganglia. That's me. Blue eyes, that's me. Is it? The world is gone. You are no longer reacting to outward stimuli, yet still.
A bitter, caustic sense of loss remains. Even in the darkness, great sorrows slip in the water. Slimy. Here in the paleo-mammalian cortex, we call it the shadow. Because it's always there.
Tell him.
Ah, yes. In the olfactory system, they call it the apricot chewing gum scented one. It's unhealthy of them to linger on it so. But as they say, what do you do?
Yeah, man. Fuck everything. Total blackout forever. Yeah, man. What was that about? There is no Voyager Road. There are no roads, no houses, no lights in the windows. It's all on pause. Bloated corpse of the past resurfacing. Don't prod at it will start moving again. You think they would let you? Until you disintegrate into biomolecules? No. Someone is breathing on your face now, inspecting your pupils, stupid idiot.
Yes. They're pouring something on you. It's in you. And
It's delicious. Glowing lights on a dashboard emerge out of nothingness. In the upholstered cabin of Lieutenant Kitsuragi's motor carriage, seated in the driver's basket, the air is thick with leatherworks and heavy fuel oil. Cold water runs down your chin.
Drink. Water.
The water is cold, silvery, the stuff of life itself, as it pours down your parched throat. The pounding in your head recedes. The darkness parts.
Drink. You haven't drunk water in 2 days. Did you know the human body is not made to survive on alcohol alone? You need a secondary form of hydration.
With greedy gulps, you down half a liter of cold water. Some of it spills on the driver's seat. The lieutenant pays no heed to it.
What happened? That does sometimes happen.
He replies with such understanding, it's as if the burnt-out ruins of the past were an occupational hazard. Hatherley,
You dropped these. Are you okay to proceed? Good.
The Ledger of Failure and Hatred is a special item that can be used both as an interactable and a tool equipped in your held slot for skill bonuses. Find it under the Tools tab in your inventory.
hey, so we've been monitoring you internally, and now we know your Copo type. Yes. Guess what's yours? Okay, just for the length of this short demonstration, please say something that isn't, I'm sorry. Guess. What is it? No, you're the sorry cop. The cop who's sorriest. Let's make it official then, shall we? What? Jealous of the sorry cop? I think they'll be fine. Don't worry. They'll be super, super fine. It'll be totally okay. You can dual Copo type from sorry to anything. Oh, you know. Apocalypse, Superstellar, the advanced interesting cop, liquid shadow cop. But you're too sorry to say those things. So, here we go? Of course you are. It's okay. See if you can get something out of this, like info. Or maybe every time you say you're sorry, you get $1 million. That won't happen. Lonesome, long way home.
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year. We should take care of that, then. Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the streets. We'll figure something out.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow.
All right. Ready? I turn, you press start. It's next to the preheater.
The dashboard lights up with orange glow. The rounds per minute gauge jumps, and the engine of the Caprice Canadian comes to life with a wide growl.
Konnichiwa.
Like a leopard waking from its sleep, yawning and roaring at the same time. The lights unfold with a little click, casting electrical light onto the ground before the vehicle.
There you go. I'll turn them off from the remote once you're done. We just need to stand in front of the machine now.
As you hold your ledger's clip under the headlamp, an iridescent hologram appears. A street grid and the veins of a great river. A familiar sensation washes over you.
There she is. Revachol West.
Around the borders of the watermark are dozens, no, hundreds of micro-perforations. The rectangular watermark is overlaid with the logo of the RCM, and yet the major arteries of Revachol are all recognizable. They shimmer in the Kanema's headlights.
Let me see. Right here. It has its problems.
There are many of them, and they are divided into 3 separate rows. The first row has 18 dots. The next is the longest. It runs all the way around the border, and then some. You count 216 perforations. Considering that nice, large number, a wave of pride washes over you, though you can't say why, precisely. The last row has 3 perforations. That's it.
Those are perforations. They represent your record as an officer of the RCM. They are your statistics, as it were. I should have guessed you'd keep a record. Officers often do.
Alpha male officers who are proud of their numbers often do. It's meant.
The first row represents your years of service. 18 years. Okay, not bad at all. What did you do before you volunteered? That's what it says. I might have guessed even longer based on your age. What did you do all those blissful years of your youth? No shame in working a regular job, detective. Sometimes after a long day of doing this, I even envy it. Let's move on, shall we? This next row, the one that wraps all the way around, is your number of closed cases. Closed is good. It means finished. You've got, let's see... Wow, more than 200. It's quite a lot, even for someone who's been on the force for nearly 2 decades. Usually, clearing more than 10 cases a year puts you in the 90th percentile of all RCM officers. Right. Those are your confirmed kills. You've got precisely 3 perforations there. For an RCM officer, especially Precinct 41, which is in the Jamrock Quarter, it's rather tame. I mean that in a good way. There are certain officers who treat their kills like some kind of ghoulish game. If they do happen to solve a case, it's usually by accident. But it seems as though you are, or at least were, one of the good ones. So we have that to be thankful for. Yes. Everyone has their own method of coping, some more effective or self-destructive than others. Personally, I find it helps to keep up a few hobbies. Oh, this and that. Let's not get into it now. Why not gardening? You've already got the yellow gloves.
The lieutenant nods.
Right. I'll go turn off the lights.
You can now see your statistics on your journal page, to the right of the task description.
Can I help you? Another thing. Great. I love those. Yes. Thanks. I hope you found what you were looking for. How strange. I certainly didn't put them there. The trash collection service? CS Municipal. I don't see why they would put anything in the trash, though.
Ah, the elusive CS Municipal. I doubt we'll be able to track down who was sent here last and when. This will have to be one of those little threats that solves itself down the road. Thank you anyway.
Sylvie had the keys before I got here, and I can vouch for her. I can vouch for all my staff. None of us would tamper with the crime scene. Yes? Absolutely out of the question.
Absolutely in the question. First we find a sad banger. Then we sing this place to shit. Your body is ready, sire.
Can I help you? Another thing. Great. I love those. Yes. Another thing. Great. I love those. Yes. Yes. Have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me?
I understand your predicament as the manager. However, I feel I must remind you that we are here to conduct an important investigation that also affects your business.
Forgive me for saying this, but your colleague seems more committed to drinking, and... I mean no offense. It's really nothing personal. I just have to protect the interests of this establishment. Good luck trying to use it.
Draconian measures.
All the locks have an electronic component. They have to be unlocked down here with a master key before your guest key will open the lock. Not until you bring me the money.
Okay. I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio mic.
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back, in the suspect transport enclosure.
Transport enclosure? Regular people just call it the cage. The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are stacked against the seat. Their silver edges sparkle in the dark.
I confiscated these 4 a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal.
The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners.
Greetings on this fine night. What brings you here? The pawn shop is always open.
Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and inspects them. The spinners appear iridescent in the dancing light of his pawn shop.
Yes, these are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump-a-mesque banger? No matter. I'll give you 200 real.
No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you.
Of course, I meant no offense. 200 real for you, officer. Delightful.
Thank you. Here's the 130 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
The rest is for him, to compensate for the pain of being separated from his radiant spinners.
Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps.
Feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward. Lucky bastard, he's probably on Parolidon. It's tough to come by on the street. A drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
Why on earth? These are prescription. I can't really see without them. I've had to take it, you know, since the People's Pile cleanup. I was with the Emergency Relief Brigade.
He's taken it for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days.
I like the theory more than the story. Outward movement, not vortices.
Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man.
You said you done it before, yeah?
The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the knickknacks on display. Looks like he won't be your knock, but he won't be thrilled about this either.
If you say so. Here you go, man.
Yes, darling. That's the coalition government ordained Parolidon. Straight into your gut.
I respect your decision, officer. What else can I help you with?
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Well? Great, thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask that you please pay your nightly bill in advance starting tomorrow. The electronic lock to your room has been disabled till 9 p.m. tomorrow. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20 real per night.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you?
The door is closed. Still nothing. The lieutenant gives you a quick glance. This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. We should talk about our progress on the investigation. Let's go out to the balcony.
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then...
Now then, we should talk about the investigation. But I also feel you're a bit hazy on the RCM. Our role here, our rights, our jurisdiction, basically. I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
Oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will and unhealthy.
Yet, were he to quit, he would lose the cool factor. This man relishes his cool quite a bit, beloved Toby.
I apologize, but I only brought one with me. I have exactly one cigarette every night while going over my notes. Yes, it's been a long and eventful day. Well, we didn't even look at the body. But we performed a thorough search of the premises of the crime scene. That's great. It's not my job to evaluate your methodology, officer. I'm just going through the facts. As for the interviews, we weren't able to find the union leader, Evrard Claire, much less interview him. So that's on the to-do list for tomorrow. We talked to Joyce Messier, but didn't get any information from her. I have a feeling Joyce knows how dangerous the situation really is. We have to get her to talk to us.
If Kim is emphasizing something this much, it really must be important.
Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice?
I have a really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just you wait until we get up tomorrow.
It's impressive, especially for a man your age, and in those hills. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange.
The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette, contemplating the next drag. An aerostatic passes overhead, the whiskers of its floodlights on the ground below. Kitsuragi's glasses light up as he looks to the sky. Two glowing circles.
They really don't like us here. The Union, the teenagers too. It's different in land, in Jamrock and the GRIH. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. This place has fallen between the cracks, the jurisdictions of our two precincts. We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works. Our systems work. If they... Me too. But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes.
He is very tired, but the dark circles under his eyes make him look younger, not older.
Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful. The sheets feel at once coarse and clammy against your skin. The bed sags beneath your weight as you stretch out and finally close your eyes. And then sleep doesn't come. Maybe it's the bed's fault. It barely covers your toes, stretching over your soft belly. This is your body here, intimate and warm, breathing. A bit tense in the muscles. Relax. Its synthetic filling has separated into hard lumps. The pillowcase smells oddly. Smells of alcohol and sweat and grease. It's a little better. Colors, scenes, and half-formed phrases still litter your mind. Part of you is still trying to solve the case, isn't it? Something to do with, what was it that the lieutenant said? Union? And it's gone again. Your thoughts lost between the slowing brain waves. Your breathing steadies. A great silence washes over you until your eyelids twitch in your sleep and images start forming.
Do you remember the scent of your childhood? Do you remember your wife's hand on your face? Do you remember the warmth of her thighs between her legs and in her mouth? That's right, funky baby. And you just stood there, one hand on the bottle and the other on your dick, watching her go. Let it all be dragged away from you. Tell me, where are your friends? Human beings have friends, Harry boy. Where the hell are yours? No, it's gone. 3 times gone and never coming back. You failed. You failed, Elysium. Everything. The pale and the useless. On the surface. The outer magnetosphere. Burning, furious truth. 8,000 years of written history. You really dropped the ball, Harry. 4.6 billion people. And you failed every single one of them. You really fucked up. No, you haven't. You're just sleep talking. And the act is wearing thin, too. The spots on the disco ball fade around you. You'll be back in those cold snakeskins in no time, sweating up the bed.
Stinky boy.
You're not coming back from shit, thrashing around in that high conductivity state of yours. Bumping into things and acting like a clown. Who are you kidding? You're trying to what? I can't hear you. This is just a word dream now. Jumbled up garbage. The pictures are gone. The bed rises to meet you. A thin, sleep-like state. More glass than velvet, grinding in your head.
So something is wrong. Sleep shouldn't be this bad, this dry, this unnourishing. There's something wrong with your thoughts. Some kind of new type of hangover. Oh yes, party boy, and it's worse than the one before. Just think of the shit you saw. Here it comes too. So soon already. A silent alarm goes off in your head like clockwork, barely let you sleep at all. Time to get those clothes on, Harry. Time to go to work in the shit factory.
Good going, buddy. Yes, wait till you see the one with the chick in it. It's gonna be a good one. You feel even worse this morning than you did last night. You don't know? You don't know? Some broad that messed you up. It'll come to you. It always does. You mean, why are you so tired? Too tired and down to even think? It is worrying, isn't it? You can't be a detective like this. Detectives need to be able to think. It's just that your heart has finally pumped all the speed out of your system, Buster. Time to get some more. You're too weak to say no now. Waking up is the worst part. Maybe somewhere down the line you could decline. Speed is a potent central nervous system stimulant. It kept you propped up all day yesterday, despite your debilitating hangover. How else did you think you even got up from this floor? It's power, man. It's professionalism. It makes you feel like you're young again and ready to detect. Ready to go to war against the world. Are you sure? Ready to live as this pathetic shell of yourself for days? Basically, a week. Let's be honest, 2 weeks. Maybe 3. You won't make it. Half the town will be dead by then. You will be fired. Fast recovery, man. Quick turnaround. Super detective back in action. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face. It belongs in the new, the 3rd decade of the current century. Enough time had passed from the failure of the revolution that, for a fleeting moment, free market economy seemed like the ultimate, uncontested way of life for our species. Things were good. It was smooth sailing. People made gold and champagne-tinted interiors and facades to suit the times, calling this the new style. But more importantly, disco happened. Forget about ostentatious orchestrations. For Revachol, your city, that meant only one thing. Guillaume la Million. If it doesn't rhyme, you're not pronouncing it right. Out of the dazzling swirl of disco music, in an open-air boîte de nuit, somewhere in Revachol West, Guillaume's blonde mane appeared on the screen. He sang some bullshit. Then he made the expression. You have some understanding of the near history of disco, plus the trivia you've picked up along the way. Episodic memory, however, remains in the dark. It may never return. You should prepare yourself for that. Everyone loved it. Maybe you thought some of the stardust would rub off on you. Maybe it did. Either way, it's all gone now. Only the grimace remains. There is a vast ocean of time between right now and the expression, looking good on you, or anyone. 2 decades, if the calendar is to be trusted. Humanity has run aground in that time. It's a different world now. The expression is a relic. It doesn't have to be. You can swoon over Guillaume and his champagne-corked smile whenever you want to. Maybe some of the stardust will return.
まあ今日はこの辺で終わりですかね。ではお疲れ様でした。ありがとうございました。